Hello everyone, welcome back to the series. This is episode 12 of building a chat app in C from scratch. In the last episode, we implemented the ability to scroll through messages. So we could send messages like this, spawn a bunch of messages, and our chat application would automatically scroll. And we could scroll back to the previous messages and all of that. So today, we're gonna be working on our user authentication system, particularly the front end. So we'll be designing our sign up and sign in forms. Some of you guys may know it as login and register. So we can input like our username and password and all of that. So don't forget to smash the like and subscribe button. And let's dive right in. Alright guys, so let's start working on the sign up form. So I'm just gonna open up my app.c. So guys, in order to make the sign up form and all of that, we're gonna need to separate the chat area from the sign in and the sign up forms, right? So currently this is where we are rendering our chat screen. So I'm gonna be moving the chat screen into a separate function. So I'm just gonna copy the rendering functions or the rendering section of the code. And I'm gonna create a new function. Let's call it void up underscore chat screen, and it will accept a up t pointer up. And inside of it, we'll just paste the code we copied. Let me just format it a bit. Shift tab. So we have this receive thread variable, guys. What I'm gonna do is move that variable into our up structure. So I'm gonna go to my up.h and I'm gonna introduce a pthread underscore t receive thread, and I'm gonna replace this receive thread with up receive thread, and that should be it. So now I can just call the up underscore chat screen function and pass in the up underscore t pointer. So now we can start working on our logins or our sign up screen. Let's start working on our sign up screen. So we'll have a void. Let's just call it up underscore sign up, and it will accept a up t pointer up. And let's define some basic stuff. So we'll define a const char pointer. Let's just call it username text, and we'll set it equal to username colon space. And we'll need to have one for our password as well. So let's see, we'll have our password text, and we'll set it equal to password colon. We'll also need to have our sign up text, so we'll have a sign up underscore text equal to sign up. And we'll need, so now that we have done that, guys, let's try to render those stuff onto the screen. So see, we'll have a SDL ret, let's just call it username canvas, and we'll initialize it to 0. We'll also have a password canvas, and we'll also have a sign up canvas as well. So let's so we'll need to get the size of our text and all of that. So let's actually, so we'll call ttf size text. Let's just pass in our up font with our username text, and the width will be our username canvas.width and our username canvas.height. Let's just duplicate this bunch of times, and we'll make this one be the password text, and this should be the password canvas. So this should be password canvas, and this should be sign up canvas. This one should be sign up canvas. And this should be sign up text. So we need to have properties for each one of these, like or color for each one of them. So we'll have a SDL color. Let's just call it username text color, and we'll just make it be white. So we'll just make it be 0xff, 0xff for now. We'll also need to have our password text color, and we'll set it equal to 0xff, 0xff. We'll also need to have our sign up text color. We'll just make it be white for now as well. And let's start trying to render our stuff to the screen. So in order to render it, we'll need to, let's see, we'll need to create a SDL surface. We'll just call it username surface, and we'll use our ttf render text blended function, and we'll pass in our up font. We'll also pass in our text, so it will be our username text. Then we'll need to pass in the color of our username, so username text color. We'll also need to create a texture now so that we can render it onto the screen. So SDL texture pointer username texture equals to SDL create, sorry about that. So SDL create texture from surface up render. Then we'll pass in our username surface. Let's see. We'll need to then copy our username texture onto the render. So we'll say SDL render copy up render username texture null, and we'll copy it onto our username canvas. And then we'll need to do it for the rest of the stuff as well. So we'll need to do it for the password and all of that. And by the way, guys, since we're repeating the code and all of that, what I'm gonna do is create another function. let's create another function to render our text onto the screen. So let's do that. So it will essentially be returning SDL texture pointer, and it will we'll call it up underscore render text, and it will accept a up t pointer up, and it will accept a TTF font, and it will accept a int font size, and it will accept a const char pointer text, and it will accept a SDL color. Let's just call it text color. So now we can render our text, guys. So we can create a SDL surface pointer. Let's just call it text surface, and we'll set it equal to TTF render text blended. We'll pass in our font, we'll pass in our text, and then we'll pass in our text color. But we need to ensure that we set our font size, guys. So let's create another function. Let's just call it void up underscore set font size, and it will accept a TTF font pointer font, and it will accept a font size, and it will essentially do TTF underscore set font size, and we'll pass in our font and then our actual font size. So then we can call our up underscore set font size function. We can then pass in our font, then our actual font size. So then we can render our text using that font size. Then we can create our texture, so we can call it text underscore texture equals SDL create texture from surface. Then we can pass in our up render. Then we'll pass in our text surface. Then we can call SDL free surface, because we're gonna be creating a texture from our surface and we won't need our surface anymore. So then we can just return our text underscore texture, and now we can use our up underscore render text function. So let's go into our sign up thing now. And we can actually replace this username thing with just so we can get rid of this username surface, and all we need to do is essentially call our up underscore render text function. Then we pass in a pointer to our up, then our up font, and we can have a default font size. Let's define a int up here. We'll just call it font size for now. We'll set it to 20, and we'll just pass in that font size right here. We'll then pass in our username text. Then we'll pass in our username text color. So now we can just copy our username texture. Now after we copy it, guys, we have to remember to destroy that texture so we don't have any memory leaks. So we call SDL underscore destroy texture username texture. So now we can just duplicate this a bit. Let's just replace all of this, right? So duplicate that, and we can just replace this with our password texture, and this will be password text, and this would be password text color, and this should be sign up texture. Let's just call it sign up texture. This should be sign up texture, and we can replace this with sign up text, and this should be sign up text color. And we can replace this canvas with our sign up canvas. And this should be our password canvas. So we need to set the actual positions of our password and all of that, guys. So that it goes below the username and all of that. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna right here. I'm just gonna say password canvas.y is equal to our username canvas.y plus our username canvas.height, and we could add like 10 pixels to that. So we have spacing, and we could do the same thing for the sign up as well. So we'll say sign up canvas.y is equal to our password canvas.y plus our password canvas.height. Now guys, since we implemented our up underscore set font size, let's see, yeah, we could we'll need to ensure that we set our font size before getting the size of our text. So let's do that. So right here, I'm just gonna, before checking the size or getting the size of our text, I'm just gonna do up underscore set font size. Then I'm just gonna pass in the up font, and then the actual font size that we want. So now we can essentially, yeah, let's actually test out our program now. So we're just gonna call our up underscore sign up function, and let's get rid of this chat screen for now. And let's try to compile our code. So I'm gonna cd into the chat server, and I'm gonna build the chat server. Could do ./build.but, and let's create another split screen right here. So we'll build our actual chat application, and let's see what we get. Alright, so let's wait on that to compile. Alright, so it compiled successfully. You guys can see it has the username right here and the password right here. We have the sign up as well. And yeah, it's kind of glitching for some reason, but we'll fix that. So now that we have done that, yeah, let's actually make it so that we can, let's continue working on our sign up screen. So let's make it so our username and all of that goes in the center of the screen. Yeah, so maybe we could make a up_size text function as well, but let's just stick to the TTF size text for now. So we'll create another rectangle, guys. So we'll create a SDL rect. Let's just call it box container, and let's initialize it to null. Let's see. So we'll need to center our username or password and our sign up stuff within the middle of the screen. So we're gonna get the total height of each one or username of each one of our elements on the screen and all of that. So let's do that. So let's have a int up here. We'll just call it total height. And we'll set it to equal to 0. We'll all have a SDL rect. Let's just call it elements, and it will contain the canvases for each one of our elements. So it will contain our username canvas. It will also contain our password canvas and our sign up canvas as well. So to get the total height, we'll need to get our element count. So we'll have a size t. Let's just call it element count. We'll set it equal to the size of the elements divided by the size of a SDL rect. So we can say for size ti is equal to 0 as less than our element count I++, we can get the total height plus equal to our elements at index I dot h or height. Let's see what else we'll need to get. So we'll need to let's see. Yeah, we'll need to get the maximum width of our box as well. So we'll get our maximum width of each of our elements. So we'll say max width, we'll set it to 0, and we'll say, do a check up here, we'll say if elements at index I dot width is greater than our maximum width, then we'll set our maximum width equal to our elements at index I dot width. And let's create our box container now. Let's initialize it. So let's create an int right here, and we'll just call it, let's just call it box container width. We'll set it equal to our maximum width. We'll also have a, let's see, we'll need to have our box container height, and it will be equal to our total height. And let's times that by 10 since we're separating each one of our items by 10. Our sign up canvas.y is equal to our password canvas.y. Yeah, this should be plus 10. So now we can simply multiply the total height of each of our elements by 10. So we have 3 items, so it should be plus 3 times 10, which would give us 30 pixels. And then now we can get set our X position, because we want to center our contents within the screen. So we'll just say dot x is equal to our up win width. So we get the width of our window, and then we'll subtract our box container width from it, and we'll simply divide that by 2, so we get our box container within the center of the screen. We'll then say up win height minus our box container height divided by 2, and we'll set our width equal to our box container width and our height equal to our box container height. So now we can simply let's see. So now that we initialized our box container, we can modify the position of the username canvas. So we can say username canvas.x is equal to our box container dot x. Let's just say that and then we can set our username canvas.y equal to our box container dot y, and we can set our password canvas.x equal to our box container.x. For our sign up, we could simply center it horizontally. So we could say sign up canvas.x is equal to our box container.x plus our box container.width minus our sign up canvas.width, and we could divide that by 2, so we get to it within the center of the screen. So now let's try to compile our application, guys. Let's see. So let's run that script. Let's recompile our code. Alright, so now we have our username and our password and our sign up. Yeah, for some reason our password is glitching. Yeah, we'll fix that. Alright, so let's actually make our sign up canvas be different. So we'll make our sign up. So this is our sign up canvas. So our sign up canvas will be a box, and we'll have a sign up text canvas, which will be the canvas for the actual sign up button. So now we could have another color. We'll have a sign up. Let's just call it canvas color, and we'll set it equal to, let's see, let's make it be green. So that should be it. So now whenever we're rendering our sign up canvas, we'll need to change this sign up canvas to, let's see, because we're getting the size of our text right here. This is our sign up text, so we'll store the size within our sign up text canvas, and then we can set our sign up canvas.width equal to our sign up text canvas.width. We could add like some padding to it. Let's add 10 pixels to it. We could have sign up canvas.height equal to our sign up text canvas.height plus 10 pixels. So now what we can do is essentially set our sign up canvas.x equal to our box container.x, so that way it's centered, and then we could actually render our text. But instead of copying our sign up texture to our sign up canvas, we'll copy it to our sign up text canvas. So right here we'll need to actually render our button for our sign up. So we'll say SDL set render draw color up render color underscore 2 param, and we'll set our sign up canvas color. Then we'll call SDL render draw rect up render ampersand sign up canvas. So SDL render fill rect up render ampersand sign up canvas. This should have a closing parentheses. Alright, so let's test it out, guys, and see how it looks. So let me just recompile the code. Alright, let's wait on that to build. Alright, let's see. Alright, so it's building. Alright, so now we have our green button right here, but you can see our sign up is up here, guys. And that's because we haven't centered our sign up properly within our box. So let's fix that. So right here where we're setting our position, we could essentially just say sign up canvas dot sign up text canvas dot x is equal to our sign up canvas dot x plus our sign up canvas dot width minus our sign up text canvas dot width, and we could divide that by 2 so it's centered within that green box, and then we could center it vertically now. So we could say sign up text canvas dot y is equal to our sign up canvas dot y plus our sign up canvas dot height minus our sign up text canvas dot height, and then we could divide that by 2. And also the glitch, let's see what's causing that. Oh, it's because we're destroying the wrong texture right here. So it's supposed to be our password texture, and we should be copying our password texture right here onto our password canvas. And let's see, so this should be it. So let's try to recompile our code. Let's wait on that to build. Right. Alright, so it built successfully. So now guys, you can see it has the username right here and the password and the sign up there as well. So yeah. Let's make the sign up button bigger. So we'll have a, let's just call it sign up font size, and we'll set it, let's make it be 30 pixels. And before we get the size of our text, we just do up, set font size, up font, and then we could set our sign up font size. So now when we're rendering our text, we'll need to ensure that we pass in the appropriate size font size. So we'll change this to be our sign up font size. So now if we try to recompile our code, let's see what happens. Just wait on that to build. Right, it's building. Alright, so it built successfully. So now we have our username right there and our password right there. Yeah, so we could space it out a little bit more, guys. Let's make space it out by 20 pixels probably. So this is our sign up. Right. Right. So now guys, we'll need to create our input boxes that will accept input for our username and our password. So what I'm gonna do is go into this app.h and I'm gonna create the input box. So I'm gonna create a new input box. Let's just call it, let's add a comment here, sign up. Let's just call it, let's create a new input box. So we'll say input box underscore t. Let's just call it username input. We'll have a input box t, password input. And yeah, we'll create our user input now. So we'll say, so we created those user inputs. So we'll need to initialize our username and stuff. Alright, so let's do that. So we'll say, we'll just call up underscore init. No, it should be input box underscore init. And then we'll pass in our up username input. Then we'll need to pass in the font for our input box. So we'll have a up font. Let's define an int up here. Let's call it input box font size. And we'll set it equal to, let's say, 20 pixels. Instead of using the up font size, we'll use the input box font. And the font size, will make it be the input box font size. Then the text color, let's just make the text color white. So we'll have a SDL color, and we'll make it be 0xff, 0xff, 0xff. The width will make it be, let's make it 300 pixels. The height will make it be 50 pixels. The color of our input box will just let it be black. The width of our cursor will be, let's make it be 2 pixels. The height of our cursor, let's make it be 25. Our cursor color, we'll just make it be green, so it will be a SDL color. So we'll set the red to 0. We'll set the green to 255, the blue to 0, and the alpha to 255. And then we'll have the timeout for our cursor. We'll set it to be 0.5. The selection color, let's just make it be a SDL color. Let's make it be blue. And that should be our init function. So now we'll need to do the same thing for our password input as well. Let's see. Right, so our password input. Cool. So now, guys, all we need to do is essentially render or set the position for our input fields and render it onto the screen. So let's do that. So let's set the username input field. So we'll say username input. It should be, let's see. Yeah, let's create some pointers for those two inputs. So let's create a pointer. We'll just call it input box underscore t pointer username input, and we'll set it equal to our up username input. Then we'll have another pointer for our password input. We'll set it equal to our up password input. We'll then just pass in our username input pointer, and then our password input pointer. So now we can just set the positions easily for input. So we can say username underscore input canvas.x is equal to, so we want to have the username input box next to the username text. So we're just gonna set it equal to the username canvas.x plus the username canvas.width, and then that will put it horizontally beside our username field. So we'll then set our username input canvas.y equal to our username canvas.y. We'll need to also center it properly, but let's just leave it like this for now. So let's do it for our password field now. So we'll say password input canvas.x is equal to username canvas is equal to our password canvas.x plus our password canvas.width. Then we'll have our password input canvas.y equal to our password canvas.width. input.y. So now all we need to do, guys, is actually render those to the screen. So we can just call our input box underscore display function, and we'll pass in our up, and then we'll just pass in our username input. And then we can do the same for our password field as well. So we can say input box display up. Then we can pass in our password input. So now we can just, let's recompile our code. Let's wait on that to compile, and let's see how it looks. Right, it's compiling. Alright, so now we have our username and our password input boxes. Now here's the thing, guys, if you notice, they are blinking, right? We're gonna make it so that our input box doesn't allow us to type stuff in, because as you guys can see, the up crashed whenever we type, because we haven't actually made it so that only when we click within our input box, then it will become active. So let's fix that issue. So let's go in our input box def.h, and we'll introduce a new boolean flag. Let's just call it clicked. And let's introduce a new function as well. Let's create a prototype for it. So we'll have a void. No, let's make it a bool input box clicked, and it will accept a up underscore t pointer up, and it will accept a input box t pointer input box. We'll also have a bool input box underscore hover function, and it will accept a input box and a up underscore t pointer. So let's create those two functions now. Let me just copy these prototypes. Let's create those functions. Right, so our hover function is pretty simple. All we need to do is check if we hover over the canvas with our mouse. So we'll just say if up underscore, we can just do a simple return right here, up rect underscore hover. Then we can pass in our up. Then we can pass in our input box canvas, and that should be our input box hover function. Now for the clicked thing, let's see. So we'll need to check if or we clicked our input box. So we'll say if not up mouse clicked, we'll need to introduce a new member to our up structure. Let's make it, let's see, so we'll introduce a bool, let's just call it mouse clicked. Let's also introduce another one called mouse button. Let's just call it mouse down. So we'll say right here now, we'll say if not up mouse clicked, then we'll just do a return false, which means we haven't clicked our input box. But if we clicked it, we'll check if we hovered over the input box. So we'll say if input box underscore hover up input box, then we will set our input box clicked flag equal to true, and we'll also return true. Otherwise, if we haven't hovered over the input box, then we'll just return false. So now that should be our clicked function. So let's go to our up.c now, and let's go into where we're handling the events. So we'll need to do a check. Let's comment out this handle events thing right here for now. Let's see. Alright, so let's go in our up_signup function, and right here where we're rendering our username input box, we'll do a check up here. We'll see if, let's see. So we only want to make the mouse blink or the cursor blink whenever we click within our input box. So we'll simply say if username input, so we'll say username input dot cursor blink is equal to username input dot clicked. But before we do that, we'll call our input box clicked function, which will accept a ups pointer and a pointer to our username input, and we'll simply just copy these two things. This should be the arrow operator. Alright, let's copy this, and we'll also do it for our password field as well. So let's replace this with, this should be password input, this should be password input, and this should be password input clicked. And yeah, that should solve the issue. But we'll need to, let's modify our events. Let's go in our event loop. So we'll need to do a check for a new type of event. So we'll say else if up event.type is equal to SDL mouse button down, because we introduced two new properties to our up structure, which is mouse down and mouse clicked. So mouse down is whenever we hold down on our mouse, but we haven't released it as yet. And mouse clicked only happens whenever we release our mouse. So we'll do a check right here. We'll say if up event.type is equal to SDL mouse button down, then we'll set our up mouse down equal to true. And let's also initialize our mouse X and our mouse Y as well. So we'll say up mouse X is equal to up event.button.x. Then we'll say up mouse Y is equal to up event.button.y. Since the release event is kind of similar to the mouse up event, we'll simply do a or right here. So we'll say or up event.type is equal to SDL mouse button up, and we could just say right here, let's see, we'll say if up event dot type is equal to SDL mouse button up, then wait, if up event dot type, then we'll simply set our up mouse clicked equal to true, and then that should be it. So now guys, we can simply reset our up mouse down events and our mouse down event down here. So we could simply say up mouse clicked equal to false and up mouse down equal to false. So now we can use, we could recompile our code and check to see if it works. So let's wait on that to compile. Alright, so now it stops blinking. Another thing we want to do is hide the cursor whenever we haven't clicked inside of it. So let's do that. So all we need to do is simply say password input cursor show equal to password input clicked. So if password input clicked is set to true, then that means we have clicked within our input box. So now we can simply just copy this right here and do it for our username as well. So now guys, if we simply recompile our code, let's see what happens. Let's wait on that to build. Alright, so there it is. So now our cursor doesn't display anymore. So one thing you guys should notice, the sign up screen, it's covering the input boxes. Our input boxes essentially need spacing and all of that. So let's try to fix that. So let's see how we'll do that. So this is our username canvas. Let's see. Alright, so one thing we could do is simply, because we need to, let's see, we need to we could create two new rectangles. Let's just create a SDL array. So let's just call it username field, and we'll initialize its width equal to our, let's see, because we initialized our input boxes above here, so therefore we can set our username field equal to our username canvas dot x. Our username canvas dot width plus our input box Yeah, plus our username input canvas.width. Then we could get the height. So we could get the maximum height of and we know that the input box is bigger than the username input, but we'll need to still find the max height. So let's do that. So we'll say something like if username, let's see, we'll say if username input canvas.width is greater than our username canvas.width, then we're just gonna set the, this shouldn't be width, it should be our height. So this should be height as well. So then we can just set our username input canvas dot height right here. Otherwise we can set our username canvas dot height. So now that is our username field, and we could do a similar thing for our password field as well. So this is our password field. Let's replace all of these username with password. Right, so this should be password input. This should be password again. Right, so this should be password. Right, and that will allow us to find the maximum height between our username input box, or between our input boxes and our different fields. So now we can simply just use our username field to align our username properly, or our input box properly within the screen. So this is our username field and our password field. So let's see what we can do. So this is our elements. What we could do is simply replace our username canvas within our elements with our username field, and this will be our password field. And then that way we would get the maximum width and the total height for our box container. So now we can simply center our stuff within our box container properly. So this is our X, this is our Y, and this is our input. So in order to center it properly, we'll need to do a simple calculation. So we'll simply get our username canvas dot height, and we'll subtract our username input canvas dot height from it, and then we'll divide it by 2. So now, yeah, we could do the same thing for the password as well. or what we could actually do, guys, is, let's see. So this is our box container, right? We could simply use our username field, and then we could set the properties, but let's just keep it like that this for now. So our password input, so we'll say password input.y is equal to our password canvas.y plus our password canvas.width minus our password input canvas.width divided by 2. And let's try to recompile our code, guys, and see how it is. Alright, let's wait on that to build. Alright, so it's kinda out of alignment a little bit. Yeah, I see what's going on. Yeah, let's see. So this is our username input. This is our y. This is our height. Oh, this is supposed to be our height, guys, not our width. Yeah, and let's recompile our code again. Let's see what happens. Alright, it's building. Alright, so now we have it centered. So yeah. In order to center the password now properly, let's see, we could simply get our username canvas. We could simply get our username field. Let's actually change this up a bit. Instead of using our username canvas, we're gonna use our username field. So we'll set our username field dot x equal to our box container dot x. Then we'll set our username field dot y equal to our box container dot y. So now, after we have done that, we can simply just set our password canvas dot y equal to our username field dot y. So this should be username field dot y plus our username field dot height. And we could add 20 pixels to that. And our username canvas. Yeah, nice. Alright, so this looks pretty good now, guys. So let's try to recompile our code real quick and see what happens. Alright, so now it looks a lot better, right? It looks centered and even on the screen. Our sign up button needs a little bit of spacing though, so let's do that. Alright, so yeah, all we need to do is just replace this with the password field. This should be, let's make this password field. So now, yeah, let's initialize our password field up here. So we'll say password field dot x equal to box container dot x, and we'll say password field dot y equal to username field dot y plus username field dot height plus 20, and that is it. So now if we recompile our code and we execute it, our sign up button should be centered, should have some spacing in between. Right, let's wait on that to build. Alright, so now that looks pretty good. Alright, so let's make it so we can actually type something in our input box now. Right, so we could type in our username and all of that. So let's do that. So let's go to our up.c, right? And we'll go into our event loop where we're handling text input events. So we'll simply check if, do a check. We'll say if up username underscore input dot clicked, then we'll call our input box handle events up ampersand up input box, and we'll also do it for our password field as well. So we'll say if else if up username input dot, no, this should be password input dot clicked, then we'll call our input box handle events up ampersand up input box. So now we can recompile our code. Alright, let's do that. Let's run our build script. Let's wait on that to build. Right. So if we try to click, why is it nothing happening? Alright, let's see what's going on. I think I know what's going on. Let's see. So this is, we check if not up in mouse clicked, then we set our input box clicked to true. Yeah, this should be, we need to set our mouse click state back to false afterwards. Let's do a simple login. We'll just say printf, you clicked the input box. So now let's do a start cmd.exe. Let's try to build or up Alright, so if we click, if for some reason nothing happens, oh, it's saying we click the input box. Wait, hold on. Wait, let's see. Alright, so if I click here, yeah, it's saying I clicked the input box. Okay, so that's pretty good. And I set the input box clicked equal to true. So why isn't it not displaying that thing? Alright, let's go in our sign up function. So if I go, so we call our input box clicked, username input, then we say username input cursor blink equal to true, cursor show. Oh, I see. Yeah, cursor show is the issue, because we set it equal to our password input, and this should be our username input clicked. Yeah, so now let's try to test it out again, so we can rebuild our script. Alright. So if we click here now, alright, now if we click between these input boxes, yeah, but whenever we click in between one of them, kind of stops there. Let's see what's going on. So this is our password input clicked. This is our username input. So we check if our input box is clicked, and then that gets set to true. Okay. Oh, but we need to ensure that we set our state back to false. Oh, so all we need to do is simply set our input box clicked equal to false, and that will solve our issue. So let's see. So we can recompile our code. Right, it's building, alright. So now if we click here, then we click another input box. Alright, so now let's actually make it so we can type something in. Let's actually make it so we can type something in. So if I go into the event handler, so if we go in our text input, ampersand up input, but this shouldn't be up input box, it should be our username input, and this should be our password input. So now if we try to recompile our code again, alright, let's wait on that to compile. Alright, so now if we try to type something, alright, it's working, but for some reason the text is out of alignment. That's not supposed to happen. But we are able to type within our input box. If you guys notice our text goes off the screen, we'll fix that in future episodes. Alright, so why did our text go out of alignment whenever we're rendering it? Let's see. Why is that? Alright, so let's go into where we're rendering our characters. So we set our cursor.x, we set our startx, set it equal to our input box canvas.y. Okay. Oh, that makes sense. So we simply need to center our characters properly. So let's do that. Let's see how we can do that. So we can set our start y equal to our input box canvas.y. Alright, so that's our start y. But we need to align it properly, so let's just set our start y right here, and we'll set it equal to our input box input.characters at index I dot canvas, which is equal to our start y plus our characters canvas dot height, and we'll need to subtract it from our input box height, so we'll say input box canvas dot height minus that, and then we could simply divide it by 2, and that way it will get centered vertically within our input box. So now if we try to recompile our code, let's wait on that to build. Alright, so if we try to type something now, oh, why is that? Oh, it's yeah, it's going off the screen. Yeah, it's going off the screen. Alright, let's see. This is our start Y. Wait, why is that happen? Oh, I see. Yeah, it's supposed to be our input box canvas.height minus that, and then we can set it equal to our input box canvas.y plus that. Yeah, so no, that should solve the issue. Let's just recompile our code. Yeah, that should solve the issue. Alright, it's taken a while to build. Alright, so if I type something like John Doe, alright. Now look at that, guys. Alright, so currently our password field, you know, it's being displayed, but it isn't really a password field because you can see the stuff on all of that. But we're not gonna fix that for now, you know. We're gonna leave that for another video because I don't want to make this one too long. Alright, so let's see. So we need to make it so that our sign up button actually works, because currently if we click on it, nothing happens. So let's actually make it so that something happens. So simply what we need to do is right here where we have our sign up canvas, we can simply do a check to see if we clicked our input box. So we'll say if uprect underscore hover sign up canvas, then we'll say if up mouse clicked, then we'll set up mouse clicked back to false right here. Yeah, this should have our up sign up canvas. So now right here we could simply, let's see what we could do. So let's introduce a boolean member to our up structure. Let's introduce a bool, let's just call it signed underscore up. And we'll simply set that up signed up function with signed up equal to true, but we only want to do that whenever our fields are not empty, guys. So we'll just simply do a check right here. So we'll say und or username input input dot characters and or password input dot characters. Yeah, that's just a simple validation for now. And let's see how it works. So we can recompile our code. Alright, let's wait on that to build. Alright, so if we click here, nothing happens, but if we type something in, let's make it be something like John Doe, and our password will be super secret password, and then we'll just click sign up. Alright, so nothing happens because we haven't told the application to do anything with that. So let's actually solve that issue. Yeah, so whenever what we'll do right here, we'll do a check, we'll say if not signed up, if not signed up, then we'll call our sign up event. Otherwise, we'll just go to our up chat screen. So that way, after we sign up, or we click the sign up button, it will bring us to our chat screen. So let's recompile our code and let's see what happens. Right, let's wait on that. Alright, so there we go. So now if we type John Doe and we say super secret password, then we click sign up, we're presented to the chat now, guys. So we can actually send messages, but it doesn't work, and that's because we haven't handled the events for that. So we're gonna change up the chat screen a little bit so that it only works, the input box will only work whenever we click on the input box, right? So we'll simply do a check right here. Alright, so let's see. Alright, so we'll say if not, yeah, let's put this inside of another if statement. So we'll say if not up, signed up. So if we haven't signed up within the application, then we will handle the username input box events. Otherwise, we'll just start handling the actual chat area input box. So now we can recompile our code. And let's see what happens. Right, let's wait on that to build. Alright, so if we click sign up, nothing happens. But if we type something like hello, no, let's say John Doe super secret password, and then we press sign up, it works. So now we can try to send a message, and now it works, right? We can spam a bunch of message, test 1, 2, 3, 4, nice. So let's actually build the login screen now, guys. I mean the sign in, the terms can be used interchangeably, so yeah. The sign-in screen is gonna be similar. It's just a duplicated. Yeah, we could just copy this function and we could rename the sign up property of it. So we could copy it, paste it, and let's make this other function. Yeah, we'll just call it sign in. Right, so no, instead of having sign up right here, we'll call it sign in, and we'll just go through this, replace these with sign in. Yeah, this should be sign in, sign in. This should be sign in, sign in, sign in. Yeah, to do this faster, I'm just gonna select the whole text right here. Yeah, just gonna select it, then I'm gonna press Ctrl H, then I'm gonna click find in selection, then I'm gonna replace sign up with sign in. So I'm just gonna press enter on my keyboard and replace all of the instances of sign up with sign in. So now that's completed, we'll need to make sure that we modify the button so that it says sign in, and now we can create the sign in screen. So let's do that. So we'll add another bool, we'll call it signed in. So we have one for signed up and one for sign in. So now that we have done that, we could wrap this in a or statement, and we could say or not up signed in. So no, so we could call this up sign up right here. So we could simply do a check right here and we could say else if up signed in, then we will call our up sign in function, which will pass in our up. And we'll need to change this to be signed in. Right. Oh, this should be if not up signed in. So after we set the up signed in thing, guys, we'll need to, the up signed up thing, we'll need to clear our input fields so that we can use it for our sign in screen, right? So we'll do a check right here. We'll say if up signed up is set to true, then we'll call our input box underscore clear ampersand up username input, and then we can do the same thing as well for our password input field. So our password input, yeah, and that should be it. We could also do that for our sign in screen as well, but let's not do that. Instead, we need to ensure that we prevent memory leaks. So let's destroy our input boxes whenever we close our application. So we'll call our input box underscore destroy ampersand up username input box underscore destroy up password input, and no, that should be it. So now let's recompile our code, guys, and let's see what happens. Let's see if it works. Alright, so now we have our sign up screen. We could type something like John Doe. No, let's just call it Alice. And our password will be test1234. Then we click sign up. And then we could enter Alice. If we sign in, nothing will happen. And because our password field is empty, but if we type something, test1234, then we hit sign in, you can see we're presented to the actual chat screen, guys. Right? And we can actually send messages and all of that. Let me actually test it out one more time with a, let's clear the screen. Let's run another instance of our application. Let me resize this window. Alright, let's move this over to the right. Alright, so our sign up screen, we will just type, let's say, Bob. This is Bob. Wait, what's going on? Oh, I'm typing in the wrong thing for some reason. Oh, there we go. So if we type Bob, and then we type secret 1234, then we click sign up, and then we type Bob, then we type secret 1234, we hit sign in, we're back to the chat screen. Right? Now let's try to send some messages. Right? So we could say hello. Right? And Bob got that message. Could say what's up. Nice. I could say nothing much. How are you? Could reply and say I am doing great. Alright, so it's working, guys. Now if you notice, guys, This is only part of our user authentication system. It's not fully complete as yet. So this will be it for today's episode, guys. In the next episode, we'll be doing some backend stuff so our user authentication system actually works with our server. So then we can actually display usernames and stuff so we can know which person sent the message and all of that. So thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. And I'll see you guys in the next episode.